Sikha we were learning is from Pekudei Sichas Chelek Kafalab, the Sikha for Parshas Pekudei. The Sikha surrounds the posik that's in Tilim Kapitel Kuf Lamed Gimel, where it says Zeis Menuchosi Ad Yad Pei Eishev Ki Visio, which means this is my resting place forever. This is where I'm going to stay because this is what I desired. And this is written in the Kapitel Kuf Lamed Beis of Tilim, where it talks about the building, the making with the Beis Hamikdash and the Oren coming into the Beis Hamikdash. And the Sikha will connect it to Parsha Pekudei, but it's going to be concerning this posik. A beer in the Zayar. In Zayar Pasha Seinu state in the Zayar Pasha Pekudei it says, when the Oren came to its place, we know the Oren was in the Kedesh HaKadoshim of the Beis Hamikdash, in the Holy of Holies. In that room, Kedesh HaKadoshim, there was a big rock called Even Shasio. The reason it's called Even Shasio, because it says, Mimenu Hushas Kol Ha'olam. The whole world was created starting with that rock. It's a special rock. That's the source of the world. On that rock, they put the Oren. The second Beis Hamikdash, the Oren wasn't there. Also, the end of the first Beis Hamikdash, the Oren was taken away. And it certainly wasn't there in the second Beis Hamikdash, but in the Kedesh HaKadoshim, you had that Even Shasiyah. So this, the Zayah says that when the Oren came to its place on the Even Shasiyah, Posach Areina v'Omer. So the Oren started talking. I mean, I don't think it means physical talking, but it was expressing something. And it said, Zeis Menuchosi Ad Yad, this is my resting place forever. Pei Eishev Ki Visio, this is where I'm going to stay. So who said this posik at the time when the Oren came into its place? The Oren said it. That's the first opinion. Rabbi Yossi said, Hai Krok Neses Yisrael Amrlei. This posik was said by Yidden. B'shaita Dizbane Bei Mikdoshe. At the time when the Beis Hamikdash was built. And the Oren came to its place, the Yidden said it. Third pshat, Reb Chizki says, that the Eibishter said it, Al Knesset Yisrael concerning Yidden. What did he say it about? Kad Yisrael Avnin Rusei. When Yidden tun dem Rotzen von Eibishter, that when the Yidden do the will of Hashem, so then the Eibishter sits on his throne of covet, of honor, of glory, which is the Kisei HaKovet, B'chayis alalmo, and then he has pity on the world. So then blessing and peace and love of everything happens. And for that, the Eibishter said, when the world, when the Yidden do the Eibishter's rotzen, and the world is everything fine, so that's when the Eibishter said, this posik, this is my resting place forever at this point. When you learn simple pshat in the Zayah, teilen sich the drei Deis in Zayah and Tzvei. These three opinions in the Zayah really are two categories. There are three opinions, but they're divided into two. The Erste Tzvei Deis are Hesem to Pshat HaKsuvim. The first two opinions fit to the simple pshat of the Psukim. The Psukim are talking about when the Oren came to the Beis Hamikdash. So both Pirushim are talking about the same, according to the simple pshat in the post. When the Oren is talking about the time when the Oren came to its place. Says Nor, the only difference between the two Pirushim, the two opinions is, later Ashter day or the Oren according to the first opinion, the Oren said this posik, this Zeis min the Chosei Ladas Rabbi Yossi, according to Rabbi Yossi. The second opinion, what does Knesset Yisrael gesagt? The Yidden said it. But both are going on the same thing, that this is talking about when the Oren came into the Beis Hamikdash, into its place. This posik was said. Both opinions hold that. The only difference is who said it. The first opinion says the Oren said it. The second opinion, the Knesset Yisrael. Like the dritte aber hat das, the dritte day aber hat das nicht gescheiches gut zu Pashkas Yonah Shel Aksuvim. According to the third opinion, has nothing to do with the simple pshat of the psukim. Then the Oren is gekommen and came in Kedesh HaKadoshim. Has nothing to do with the psukim that talks about the Oren coming Kedesh HaKadoshim. It's a different thing altogether. When was this posik said? When the Yidden do the Eibishter's will. And when the world is, then the world is the way it's supposed to be, whatever it is. So it has nothing to do with the simple pshat and posik. So the first two opinions go on the simple pshat of the psukim. This is connected to the Oren coming in the Beis Hamikdash and the Kedesh HaKadoshim. And the second pshat is that this posik was said by the Eibishter and Yidden in a different dinyan. So but glatik, it's not so simple to say that. According to what we just said, it comes out that the third opinion has nothing to do with the Mishkan and the Mikdash and the Oren coming into its place. Teichen ha'inyan zayar do, which is what the Zayar talks about. This Zayar, that section of Zayar, talks about the Oren coming into the Mishkan, to the Beis Hamikdash. The first shot has nothing to do with this inyan that the Zayar is talking about here. But the Zayar bechlal get bringing the Pirish do. The Zayar didn't have to bring that Pirish do. What is the why is this Pirish brought here? Now you could say, well, because they already mentioned in the first two opinions the posik, so he brings the third opinion. So the Rebbe says, "Stam pirushim posik zeis from the chosin gevis to kama v'kama." There's definitely more pirushim, but the Zayir, just because he mentioned the posik, is going to mention another pirush. There are many other pirushim in this posik, so it must be that it does have a connection somehow to what the posik, the Zayir is talking about the Oren coming into the Beis Hamikdash. Another thing, but the Negei Eshet Tzvei Deis is moving. Concerning the first two opinions, we understand that the Chilek is not nor wer gesagt. The difference is not only, as we said before, that who said this posik? Did the Eibush, the Oren say it, or the Knesset Yisrael said it? But it's more than that. Could the Mucha from them was Betchila Sinyan in the Zayar state? It could prove it from this that the Zayar earlier, before this argument, who said this posik, the Oren or the Knesset Yisrael? So the Zayar says, Schapiro dalma v'chesed dalma hat sich nicht gesehen, that the beauty of the world and the sight of the world was not seen ba'alma in the world, ad isbane ve'iske meshkana, till it was built and set up the Mishkan. V'ol areinu l'gem kodsha, and the Oren came into the holy place. And the Zayar says, and from them on, from when the Oren came into the Mishkan, is chazu chezu the kula ba'alma, so the proper look of the world was seen. They stuck an alma and the world was fixed. That they went with this Mishkan and with this Oren. Basically, it went till it came to a point. They continued going with the Oren till it came to this point. This is the beauty and the simcha of everything. They're mocking for the Shasiyah till it came to Shasiyah. Keeping the Motil Hasam. When it got to the Shasiyah, then the Oren started saying. So what the Rebbe brought in the beginning of the Sikha, the Oren said this when they came in. That's all the Hemshchav of the Zayar before. The Zayar says the world was not so good. And when they put the Oren in the Mishkan, then the world became better and became good till finally it came to its proper place. And then the Oren said, this pasuk Zeis min Chosei Ad Yad. This is the beginning of this whole section of the Zayar, these opinions. If the second opinion of Rabbi Yossi, all he's trying to say is that we said before that the Oren said it, and he says no, Yidden Knesset Yisrael said it. But if that's all he's adding, in other words, he's agreeing to what it said before, he's just adding who said it. So when it comes to the second opinion, all he should have said, first opinion said that the Oren said it, he should have said this pasuk, Knesset Yisrael said it. Why does he have to repeat again? He says, when did the Knesset Yisrael say it? When they built the Beis Hamikdash and the Oren went in. From them was it's careful, since he repeats, that when did he even say it? At the time when they built the Beis Hamikdash, and when the Oren came in, his movements of, we understand as there is massive nochainim, he's obviously trying to add something else besides who said this posik. Das ist verbunden nicht nur mit dem Oren Natzmei, nur echt mit dem Zman, der ist mit dem Beis Hamikdash. He's trying to say, we're going to see the pshat in it, but he's trying to say not only who said it, but whatever the second opinion says that the Knesset Yisrael said is also connected, a different pshat than the first pshat, connected to the building of the Beis Hamikdash. The first pshat is certainly the Oren said it when they built the Beis Hamikdash and they brought in the Oren. The second pshat is trying to change something. They're trying to add not only who said it, but it has a different connection. The first opinion is a connection to the Oren. The second opinion brings that this was said when the Beis Hamikdash was built. Obviously, it's connected with the Zman, the time when the Beis Hamikdash was built. So he's adding another point. Das heißt, it means like this. The chiluk from the 3 days, the difference between the three opinions is Sai Veres hat gesagt, Zeis min Chosei Ad Yad. The difference is who said this posik, whether it was the Oren according to the first pshat, Knesset Yisrael according to the second pshat, or the Kuchabrich or Eibush said like the third pshat. But it's also Sai if Vos das ist gesagt geworden. The difference is also in all three opinions. What was it about? It was said, or what of concerning what was it said? Whether it said it became a Kodesh Kedoshim, was it said because it was put in its place? If the Mevin should see on that stone, so it was said because it was put into place. That's the first opinion. Or was it said Siman Beis Hamikdash? According to the second opinion, it was said in the time when they built the Beis Hamikdash. So it doesn't have to do with directly with only because they put the Oren down, but it was because of the Beis Hamikdash. And the third opinion is Zman de Yisrael Afnei Rusei. It was said in concerning what? Concerning Eden doing the will of Hashem. So there's a difference who said it, and there's a difference concerning what it was said. According to the first opinion, it was concerning the Oren being put in the place. Second opinion, the building of concerning the building of Beis Hamikdash, and the third one concerning the time when the Eden do the will of Hashem. You have to understand here. Number one, the Teichen Achilek zwischen the zwei days. We have to understand, first of all, what is the difference really, the Teichen, the contents, the meaning of the difference between the two first opinions. The Baldas, like beide days, Retzich do wegen demselben Zman Binyan, both opinions a whole, we're talking about the same time, the same Minyan. But all Arein at the time when the Oren went into its place. So what difference does it make whether the Oren said it or the Yidden said it? That's number one. Number two, was in the gay and the rest of the day, the Agdoma wegen der Binyan Hamikdash Baal Arein Kotche Imishkon. The first opinion says that when was it said? When they put the Oren into the Kedesh HaKadosh. What does it got to do with the Mishkan? The Balda the Posik says in Chose Adiyad red wegen dem Onkum von Norden Beis Hamikdash. The Posik is talking about the Beis Hamikdash. If you look in the Psukim, it's talking about coming to Beis Hamikdash. And here, it seems like it's connected to the Mishkan also. Because before this, as we said before, the Rebbe brought before, that before the first opinion that it was said when it was brought in the Mishkan, the whole beginning, introduction in the Zayah, where it says that the world was not so good till they brought the Oren into the Mishkan. And then later, finally, it went further till it came to the Beis Hamikdash. In other words, what comes out is even the first opinion is connected to the Oren being put in the Mishkan. But it's not. It seems from this opinion, when the Oren was put into the Mishkan, into the Mikdash, the Oren says, so why is that Negeya that before that he says something about the Oren being put in the Mishkan? What does the Mishkan got to do? According to the first opinion, has to do dafke with the Mikdash. And the pale, this comes in connection to the Oren being put in the Mishkan. Pabir's the explanation is like this. The chilek between the dry days is the difference really between the three opinions is what's the Mishkan and Mikdash? What's the main Indian purpose of having the Mishkan or the Mikdash? What is it for? The day of Aleph is Beloshn Ramban. According to first opinion, it is like the Ramban writes, the main chayfes will. Why did Eibishter want the Mishkan? Is a place for the Shechina to rest, which is the Oren. So the Oren, that is the most important part of the Mishkan and the Mikdash. And the Rebbe held it. Therefore, this first opinion, the Rebbe says, goes according to this day. Therefore, the first opinion says, so who said this? This is my menucha. The main thing of the Mikdash. The Oren is the main thing, according to this opinion, like the Ramban says. So the Oren said it. Then there is only when the Oren reached his place. So that's when he said it. So who's the one that said it? The Oren, because that's the main thing of the Beis Hamikdash. The Das Rabbi is the Rikirinya for Mishkan and Mikdash. According to Rabbi is another opinion. The main purpose of the Mishkan and Mikdash is as Eden sollen haben amokim kivua to din the Meibischen. So Eden should have a set place to serve Hashem. Loshna Rambam, this is what the Rambam says. That what's the purpose of the Beis Hamikdash? He says, why did Hashem say the mitzvah of the Mikdash to build the Beis Hamikdash? You should have a bayis, a house, muchan liyas be makrivim be karbonis, a place which should be ready to bring karbonis. A place where you could celebrate by coming to 3 times a year. But that inyan, when did this happen? Mainly the time when the Mikdash was built and they put the Oren in it. And Yidden had the Beis Hamikdash Raveda. So the main thing is that the Yidden have something out of it. So the first opinion says the Oren said it because that's the main thing of the Mishkan. So who said the Zeis Munachosi? This is my place. The Oren, because that's the purpose of the Mikdash. Second opinion is the purpose of the Mikdash is that Yidden should have a place. Therefore, the Faris Knesset Yisrael, or second one holds that the Yidden said it. Das Reb Cheskia, And according to the third opinion, which is Reb Cheskia said, that the Eibishter said it concerning Yidden, that when Yidden do the will of Hashem, the Eibishter is happy, and that's what the pasuk means. So that opinion holds us that is the Rikerinya from Mishkan Mikdash Shechanti B'Seichel. That the main thing is the fact that through the building of the Mishkan at Beis Hamikdash, the Yidden rests amongst the Eibishter rests amongst the Yidden. Im Menuche von der Eibishter is verbunden damit, was Sheichen zwischen den Yidden. We know it says the mitzvah is also the mikdash shechanti b'seichom. I'll rest amongst them. B'seichei leinemer, it doesn't say in it in the Beis Hamikdash in them. So part of the Beis Hamikdash is that this brings the Eibishter rests amongst the Yidden. So if this whole Beis Hamikdash purpose is for the Yidden, I mean not for the Yidden, for the Eibishter, the rest amongst the Yidden. The Rebbe learned that so therefore the third pshat learns that who said this pasuk says the Eibishter concerning Yidden. So it all depends what is the ikar of the Beis Hamikdash, and that's where the three opinions come to differ. Since we know everything in Torah, every opinion is true, is words of Hashem. In this case, we could even say more that every opinion is not a machloik, is not an argument, but they're all true. Why? Because B'negei Deis was bringing sich in Zayah, because we're talking about opinions in Zayah. What's Zayah? Zayah is Pnimis HaTorah. And on Pnimis HaTorah it says, Les tamo leikash echol lemachlekes. In Pnimis HaTorah there are no questions, there's no arguments. So usually when there is an argument, we must find a way to say it's not an argument. Is Yashlema that we could say, one says one thing, one says another thing, but they're not arguing. Many times I say this and the other one says different, doesn't agree. It's not necessary. Each one says a different thing. Das heißt nicht nur, als alle drei Dinge seien Emes, was sie seien alle Doi Migdash. It's not only that they're all true, because all three things happened in the Beis Hamikdash. It did have the Oren, which was an Iker Migdash. It did have the senior that they even gained from it, they have a place to serve. It did have the Indian that because of that, they should rest them. But it's not only that. They're there. They're all three there, and that's an Indian Ikri in the Beis. Not only that happens to be there, and Bepeil they're there. These three things are there, but they're talking about three different periods concerning the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash. The comment Rebbe is going to explain that these three opinions, whether we stress the Oren or we stress the Korbanos, the body that the Eibishter wanted us that we should be able to have Korbanos, have a place for Korbanos. And the third opinion, that the Eibishter v'shachanti b'seicham, that's what's stressing. They're all three in the Beis Hamikdash, as the Rebbe will explain. And he explains like this: in the Minyan of Mikdash, I know b'chol is drei zmanim v'inyonim. Concerning the Beis Hamikdash, there are three periods, and b'meila these three periods are different inyonim. You have like this the Mishkan, that's first. Then you have the Beis Hamikdash, B'Yerushalayim, the Beis Hamikdash, which this is made up of two olive bays, the Beis Hamikdash, the first and the second, but they're both one category. And then you have the third category, the third period, Beis Hamikdash Alosi, the future Beis Hamikdash, the Beis Shlish, the third Beis Hamikdash. That is explained and hinted in the words of the Chazal in the beginning of Parshas Pekudei. The Parshas Pekudei starts off, Eila Pekudei HaMishkan Mishkan Eidos. These are the Pekudim, the commandments of the Mishkan of testimony, the Mishkan Eidos. So Rashi says, the Medrash says, it says, Ha Mishkan and Mishkan Shnei Pomim. Why does the Mishkan say, why does the Pasuk say twice the Mishkan? Could have said, Eile Pekudei Mishkan Eidos. What's the Pshat? Eile Pekudei HaMishkan Mishkan Eidos. Remez, Rashi answered, the Medrash answered, this is a hint, the Migdash and Ismashkan B'Shnei Chabonim. A Remez for the Beis Hamikdash that was taken as collateral, and that's the same word as Mishkan is Mashkan. A Mashkan is collateral when the both Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So in the Pasuk here, what do we have here? We have the hint to all three periods. How? Kum Tuis, at the Pasuk read, the Pasuk is speaking like this. Number one, the simple pshat and Pasuk. What's he talking about? This is the Pekudei of the Mishkan. So it's talking about the Mishkan. So the Mishkan is mentioned here. Second thing, we have the Remez, wegen the Mishkan Shnis Mashkan. The second, the word we said there, this is a hint for the Mishkan that was taken away as a Mashkan. What was that about? That's the Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash, first and the second, were both taken away as a Mashkan. And this is a hint for the two Beit Hamikdash. So here we have a hint to the second category, the second period, which is the Beis Hamikdash. And then we have Eich wegen the Beis Hamikdash Alosi. There's also a hint here For the future Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, where is it hinted? So that explains. But the pasuk is merames dem Churban Hamikdash mit Loshem Mishkan shenis Mashkan. The way the Torah hints to the Beis Hamikdash, it hints with the word Mishkan, because the Beis Hamikdash was taken as a Mashkan. Now, what's a Mashkan? A Mashkan is not that you destroy it. A Mashkan means at first it was in my possession, and I give it to somebody else to hold, and he'll eventually give it back to me. So the moment we say that the two destructions, two Chabonis, are considered a Mashkan, that means that it'll be given back. So the first Beis Hamikdash was a Mashkan and was given back by the second. The second one is also taken away as a Mashkan. That means it's not destroyed, it'll be given back. What is that? The third is moved. As Churbanin is nit as that when it says they were destroyed, it doesn't mean that the Beis Hamikdash Rishon v'Sheni was the pasuk is it the Kelim Maramas Keachad. Here the pasuk puts the two together. But never saying the two Beis Hamikdash is the same period that goes in the same category. So here we see that the Beis Hamikdash Rishon v'Sheni that was destroyed. That's hinted in one word. Remes lemigdash and the smashkim b'seich rabbanim. That's a remes for the migdash that was taken with the two, and then one word is a remes for both the migdash. So we have, first of all, we have the mishkan here, poshup shat and pasuk. Then we have the remes for the two in one word. But what the pasuk is trying to tell us by using the word mashkan, that it's vet chas v'sholem botav, it's not telling us that it'll become bottle, it'll become nullified. There will be anymore. Nor as he said, no, even for a mashkan. For mashkan, it's like a collateral. A mashkan geht aus von der Schuss Leib und gefindt sich beim Malver. Zeitweilig. A mashkan means it goes away from the Schuss, the borrower. The borrower gives the lender a mashkan, and it's now in the possession of the lender. Und and this is only temporarily. Und wird umgekehrt zum Leib. Then at the end is, it goes back to the original person. So this is tell us that Azayah Beniten Dan, the same thing, the Mikdash that was destroyed, the first and the second is like a Mashken. The Mikdash, Rishon v'Sheni, vert nor nis Mashken, it wasn't taken as only as a Mashken by the Churban. Und noch dem, wird umgekehrt zu Eden, will be brought back to Eden. What is that? Beis Hamikdash HaGimel, the lost, the third Beis Hamikdash of the future. So we see here, the three categories are like this. The Mishkan, that's one period, we look into one group, one thing. Then the two Bate Mikdash, and then we have the Senka Shlishi, which are all hinted in the first pasuk in Parsha Pekudei. So we come here to this conclusion that there are three stages, three times, which three inyonim in this concept of Mikdash. The concept of Mikdash is everything. The first, the Mishkan, first and second, Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, it's all one. But in that, we divide it into three categories. The Mishkan, Beis Hamikdash, contains 1 and 2, and the Beis Hamikdash of the future. The chilik from the drei inyonim, Mishkan, Mikdash, and Mikdash Jalasi, the difference between these three things, the Mishkan, the Beis Hamikdash, can say both, and the third Beis Hamikdash is like this. In Mishkan, in the Mishkan, what happened was, when they built the Mishkan, then the Shechina found a resting place, through it, which is the Oren. The Shechina, the Oren is the Shechina. Was a sphere in event. Before it wasn't. Before the Mishkan, there was no like set place for the Eibishter. Now when they had a Mishkan, they put the Oren there, now the Eibishter has a place to stay. He has a kavudik place. Noch mehr, the Inyan Amnucha Monochosi from the Oren is not even kavua, is given Bikir Mishkan. On the contrary, not only even in the Mishkan already it was kavua, it was set. It was more in the Mishkan than later. Mainly it was in the Mishkan of the Oren. Why? What the Oren is given came in the ganze Meshach's man from Kima Mishkan. The Oren stayed in this place the whole time. As long as there was a Mishkan, there was the Oren there. That's called it had a place in the Mishkan steady. Bashenkan in the Bate Mikdash, but when it comes to Beis Hamikdash, it wasn't like that. In Mikdash, is the Oren. The second Beis Hamikdash, the Oren wasn't there to begin with. When in Mikdash Rishon, the first Beis Hamikdash is the Oren given calls Masha Yakayim. It wasn't second. The first Beis also wasn't there all the time that we had the Mikdash. Well, it saves money. Gonza Yishayo. The Rambam says Yishayo hit it at the end of closer to the end of the first Beis Hamikdash. So B'meila, which thing had the real manucha of the Shechina that it stayed in the building for as long as the building was there? That's by the Oren. That's considered the Oren. But if you talk about the resting place, the dwelling place, concerning the whole Beis Hamikdash or the whole Mishkan, is Adarabbe. There's different. The Mishkan not metal. The Mishkan the Mishkan was not kavua, was not set. They moved it from place to place. And he's actually called a tent. By me, there was no set, and there was no like being peaceful because you're set already and you're in one place. In the Mishkan, it wasn't. The Mishkan kept on traveling. When we talk about the house itself, the Beis Hamikdash, they are being given kavu b'mokem echad. Beis Hamikdash, the first and the second, you build it as in one place. So concerning the Oren, the Kviyas wasn't the Mishkan. That's where the Oren it found its place, and that. But in the Beis Hamikdash, the first and second, the Oren was not kavua because they took it away in the middle. Concerning the Beis Hamikdash as a whole, the Mishkan was not like the Beis Hamikdash. It wasn't kavua. It wasn't set. It was just temporary, called a tent. Where was it kavua? In the Beis Hamikdash. Then you continue. The Beis Bat Hamikdash are not given binyonim nitzchim, but there was something missing in the two Bat Hamikdash. It wasn't forever. It wasn't real permanent. It wasn't infinite time. It wasn't eternal. It was taken away from the Yidden. The place remained holy, like the Rambam says. The Shechina doesn't leave, but the bias was not there forever. By Shlishia, the third Beis Hamikdash will be a Beis Hamikdash forever. So we have the concept of kviyas because the posik Zeis Nuchosi Adeyad, this is my place forever, means he's saying the order. Whoever was saying it was saying this is for set forever. So the first Beis Hamikdash, the set forever, as long as the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan was there, it was set in a place. Is the order, the Beis Hamikdash Rishon Sheni. It was not the order, it was not set, but it was the Beis Hamikdash was set. Steady, staying in one place, and the real way it was is going to be the third Beis Hamikdash, and it will be forever. Now the Rebbe said I could explain according to this the three opinions in the Seir. The first opinion that says the Oren said it when the Oren was put in the place. The Oren said this. This is my place forever. To them, that comes right after what the Zohar says before it, as we mentioned before. What did it say before? Like when the Mishkan was put up, and the Oren was put into the holy place. And one of the questions that I've asked, like, when did the Oren say this? By the Beis Hamikdash. Why does the Zohar start off by saying that when the building of the Mishkan was made, that's when the Oren went into the right place? What's negate the building of the Mishkan? Because when we're talking about what the Oren said, so we're talking about the Kedusha, the way it was in the Oren. Where did that happen first? Is Haschalos of Ikar Mishkan. That happened in the Mishkan first. As we said before, Lagab the Oren, where was the place that the Oren felt comfortable, so to speak, felt set? In the Mishkan. But that's not Menucha. It's not Menucha b'shaychas zum bayis. The Mishkan Guf, it's not a set place, a place that you're settled concerning the bayis. At that time, it was the Mishkan. The Mishkan was not settled. The Mishkan was moving. When the Rebbe is when the Geya Eden, so was for a Nord to bayis is gekommen. So, but concerning Eden, the Eden are talking about the bayis. We said before, by the Eden, we have a bayis that we could come to and serve the Eibishter. So, when there's a posik that says, Kilei bosem el amnucha v'lanachla. Concerning the Mishkan, the pasuk says you didn't come yet to the Menucha Nachla. Because the Gabba, the Yidden, which is negate to them, the second thing, that the bias is a place that the Yidden could gain from it to serve the Eibishter there. That for them it wasn't Menucha, because the Mishkan had no Menucha. But negate the Oren, there was Menucha. So the Oren said it, started off with the Mishkan. Started with the Mishkan and finished off by the Beis Hamikdash, but it's a connected Mishkan. But negate Yidden not. And this day holds that that's the Iker is what happened to the Oren. In the zweite day is the Meduber werden des Zman Hamikdash. The second one is talking about the time of the Beis Hamikdash. The Zohar says, "B'shaita the is ben the Bei Mikdoshe." Second opinion starts by saying when the Beis Hamikdash was built and the Oren came in, that's when Knesset Yisrael said it. Was them with the geworden der Mokim Binyan Kavur Farashros Ashkina. What happened when the Mikdash was built? Beis Hamikdash was built. That's when we said the second thing. Then became a Mokim a Binyan Kavur for the Eibishter. There we're talking about what happened to the Yidden. The Yidden already then came, we say, oh, now we finally came to the place where we're supposed to come and rest. Now we have a mokim kavua, a set place for serving Hashem. Rambam says very clearly, as soon as the Beis Hamikdash built in Yerushalayim, the din was at certain times you could bring a korban through Obama, different places, even in your own backyard, etc., etc. When they built the Beis Hamikdash, became forbidden to build a bias anywhere else. The ancient bias, the Rambam says, and the bias, there's no other place in the world for all generations, only in Yerushalayim, and Hara Miriya, where the Mikdash is, Shabo Nemar, there it says, Vayemer David, he said, Ze Mizbeach, Mizbach La'ela Yisrael. This is the place where you can make a Mizbeach, and the Yidden should have a Mizbeach, and he says Yisrael, Vayemer, that's when the Pasuk says, Zeis from the Chosei Adiyad. So here, who said this? He said the second opinion says that the Yidden said it, because the Kviyas that's Negeya to the Yidden happened by the Beis Hamikdash. And this answered the Kashi, yes, but Negeya, the second opinion, why does he repeat over that it happened when they built the Beis Hamikdash? Because he didn't just say, you said, the first opinion says that the order said it, second opinion should say, I'm telling you that the Knesset Yisrael said, no, he's arguing something else. First one says it's Negeya to the building of the Mishkan already. It started off by Kviyas of the Oren, because the Oren said it. I'm telling you that's not the Oren said, and it's not, it started off with the building of the Beis Hamikdash, because it's Negeya to the Knesset Yisrael, what they gained from the Knesset Yisrael said it. By them, when did it happen? Zeis from the Chosei Adiyad, that happened when they built the Beis Hamikdash. Because we said before, we're by Negeya the Eden, what's the kavua of the bias of the Beis Hamikdash? That is by the building of the Beis Hamikdash. And the Rebbe Taka stresses, when the Rambam says the Loshen, that from the, when they built the Beis Hamikdash, it became osir, forbidden any place to build the bias, because this is talking about the bias. When the dritte day retzich hakoponim merum is when shleim is the Beis Hamikdash and Beis Hamikdash hashkim of the losit. The third opinion is talking also about the Beis Hamikdash, because we asked the kasha, why is the third opinion here? The third opinion seemingly has nothing to do with Beis Hamikdash, nothing to do with the Oren. It says when the Eden do the will of Hashem, the Bisha says this. So why is it here? Stam a pshat in this pasuk, but it's not talking about. The Rebbe says no. The third opinion is also talking about the Beis Hamikdash, but it's talking about and beremes concerning the shleimus of the Beis Hamikdash in the highest level, which is like Beis Hamikdash Gimel the lost concerning the Beis Hamikdash of the future. What does it got to do with what the third opinion says? The third opinion says when the Eden do the will of Hashem, then the Bisha sits on the Kisei HaKoved and he has Rachmanis on the world and there's Brocha and Sholem. That's Zeis from the Chosi. How does it show for the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi? So the Rebbe says, in dem Zman, when the Yidden will Luisfin beschleimus dem Rotzen und Kavonne von dem Eibishten. What does the Zayah say? When the Yidden will do the will of Hashem, the time will come, the Yidden will do beschleimus completely the will of Hashem. Kad Yisrael Avdin Rusei beschleimus, like the Zayah said, when the Yidden will do the will completely. When will that be? What will happen then? And when will it be? But the Beis Zayna Bayis Nitzchim. That's when the Beis Hamikdash will be eternal. Evet Kemol needs to move on from Eden, they'll never be taken away from Eden. Und der Dämmel sagt, Kushebrich at Knesset Yisrael. So that's when the Eibush says when they get the Eden. Zeis from the Chosei Adiyad. This is my resting place forever. From the Ashra, from the Eibush, zwischen Eden, because the resting of the Eibush amongst Eden is Naneifen from the Chosei Adiyad. That's the Eibush that's resting forever. Amanucha Manachla and Nitzis Begilui. It's always there, but Begilui we don't see it, then we'll see it. So who says it? The Eibishter. B'negeya who? B'negeya Knesset Yisrael. And it's negeya to the Beis Hamikdash. Because he's saying when you do the will, then the Eibishter says this. Then there'll be the menucha of the Eibishter forever amongst Eden. And that's the opinion, the third opinion, that the Iker is, as he said before, the Iker is the Beis Hamikdash v'shechanti b'seicham. The first opinion says the Iker is the Oren, Sharos HaShechina, Kviyas of Sharos HaShechina. The second one is the Iker is the bias, the fact that the Eden could have a place to serve Hashem. And the third one is the Negei the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, and there it's the Negei the Eden doing the will of Hashem. They'll do the will of Hashem, so we'll have a Beis Hamikdash, it'll be forever. Then the Rebbe continues. Shem Vidos is Benegei the Mishkan Beis Hamikdash Alav Beis and by Shlishi. Just like we explained before, the three stages, the three periods, the Mishkan, the Beis Hamikdash, both first and second, and the third one is the third period, the third time is the Beis Hamikdash, the third Beis Hamikdash. I said before, it's not separate in Yonim. These are three things that happened, and they happened in a way of one after another. First, the Oren came in, and that committed Kviyas in the Oren, then the Beis Hamikdash was built, the Kviyas in the Bayis, then it's going to have Beis Hamikdash. It's one Inyan going Naseder in stages. So the Rebbe wants to say, and so he said, just like we say it by the these three things actually by the Mishkan, Beis Hamikdash, and by Shlishi. The mitzvah Lashon Yochid from Wasser Hamikdash. As we said before, that's why there's one mitzvah. It's not three mitzvahs. There's one mitzvah. It says V'osu Li Migdosh. But that started. When did it start? When they built the Mishkan. Mamshir givem Beis Hamikdash alav beis, and continued next stage when they build the first and second Beis Hamikdash. Ubishleimusa. And completely it will be kemitzvah seitznecha. It says it says in the Tefillah Daven that then when Hamikdash will be rebuilt, we will bring then the karbonis kemitzvah seitznecha. So it says in Svarim Chassidus, the Rabbi brings the Maramekemis here, that it means the real karbonis that we're going to bring, as you really, really want, will be then. But as I'm being actually should be beheaded by and that'll be by the third Beis Hamikdash. It'll come in the future. So just like we talk about the actual three periods, that they're all one hemshech. Al derech zeh, das eich benegid the protim was matgish and zayar. We could say the same idea concerning the details the zayar is talking about, which is the menucha b'shaychas sumoren, the resting, benegid the oren, then benegid the Beis Hamikdash, and benegid Knesset Yisrael, and benegid Kutchabrich, and benegid Debishter. So das nicht kein besondere Sachen or in hemshech. It's also not separate things. It's all one hemshech. How is this all one hemshech? The Oren and the Beis Hamikdash and the Yidden and the Eibishter is all one hemshech. There we understand it's a hemshech, three periods, and one came after the other. What is it here? First, let's in the diak in the expressions, the lotion of the third opinion. Is number one, Meirich. He goes into length. What does he say there? Pekudei Yosef, of course, the Eibishter is going to sit down on the Kisakove. V'chayis al almo, have pity on the world. Ubrocha v'sholem uchvivusa the kula ishtaka, and the brocha, blessing and peace and chvivus of everything will be happening. What does this aricha say? What do these words mean that this is going to happen? But the second thing, the base, whatever you'll explain, whatever it means. Why is it negay here? Says that the when he sees the Yidden do what he wants, he says the Yidden, oh, this is my ring forever. It's not to get the whole world. So why does the Zayim Hakarain here that when David has pity on the world and there'll be chvivas and shovas and everything meaning in the world? What's the case the whole world? So the beer is that the explanation is like this. When the Oren started saying, the Oren, this is my menucha forever, is the Aveda from Torah. That represents Torah. Keep moving. We understand that the Oren is Torah. What's the whole unit of the Oren? The Oren had the luchas, the two luchas. What's the luchas? Aseres Adibris. Aseres Adibris is the moked, the source of all Torah, all mitzvahs and all Torah. And the shleimus from Torah is the shas, the esek Torah is an eifim for menucha. The mile of saying that the Oren has menucha is the idea that's saying that the Torah, the real way of learning Torah is when you have menucha, when you're peaceful. There's nothing that disturbs you. That's when you learn. Like the Chazal say, the Torah was only given to learn, to darshan, only for those that ate the mon. What does that mean? Torah was given for all generations, only for the Eden in the desert they ate the mon. So the Geret, I said many times, what it really means is, in order to understand and absorb and take Torah, internalize Torah as you're supposed to, you have to be free from all bothers, from all worries that disturb you. Those like those that ate the mon. That's what the Medrash means. The Torah was only given to people who are like the Eidamon. The people Eidamon had no worries. No worries. The food was given, they have no worries. And they learned Torah the way it's supposed, the best way. So that's what the Medrash Mechilta means, that the real way to learn Torah is when you have Menucha. So that's the first thing. So when it says the Oren, and the Oren says Zeis Menuchasi refers to, when we touch it in the Ruch Nizik way, that the Torah is Ben Menucha. That's the shleimus of the best way to learn Torah. Then weiter, the Shas that limit Torah is kedeboy. If you learn properly, like we said, if you have Menucha, you learn properly. Is Godel limit shemevel d'maisa. So when you learn, what brings to action to do mitzvahs. Torah kumt arop and maisa mitzvahs. Torah comes down in doing the mitzvahs and peilt does was ein beshleimus. Amazing that the mitzvahs should be shleimus. But the meat tut sich of the bitter from Welt. What happens when the Torah, when the mitzvahs are beshleimus? That brings a purification into the world. And those drickt sich in dem was even the Beimigdashe. This expresses itself in what it says in the second opinion, that when the Beis Hamikdash was built, what does it mean that Beis Hamikdash was built? As wird aufgebaut die Welt, a binyan kavua for the Meibishter. When you do mitzvahs properly, you basically build a place for the Eibishter, a binyan kavua, a settled place for the Eibishter. When in them is the Keich Matzias but in that you have the Torah, because the Torah was the one that made you do the mitzvahs. That's why it says that even the second one, which is talking about the bayis, the Loshen is Va'al Areina Lasre, when the Oren came into this place. We're talking about the bayis, the way the Rebbe explained. The second one says the opinion is this, the gate to the Kvis the bayis. Why mention that it was when the Oren came in? Because the way the Rebbe learns says the Pshat now, but the second opinion is like talking about the building the bayis, which is a mitzvah. But building the bayis, the mitzvah is proper because you learned the Torah. So that's what I said, when you brought the Torah in, that's when there was the concept, felt the concept of the menucha, the kviyas of the bayis. And demel bescheited Isben, and then when it was built, zogt Knesset Yisrael. The second opinion says, who says this? Knesset Yisrael says, zeis menuchotzi adiyad. The Yidden. Es wird die Shleimus menucha von Yidden. The Yidden have the proper menucha. Durchführen die Zeir Kavone, when they accomplish the purpose of why they're here, was anini vreisi l'sham v'shaskeni. Person was created to serve Hashem, serve my master. By doing his will, which is what? Torah mitzvahs. So when you come to the second thing, you have already now Torah mitzvahs. So now if you have Torah mitzvahs, so the Yidden come to their shleimus. That's why in the second one it says, who says the second one? The Knesset Yisrael, because the second one represents mitzvahs. The bayis, making the bayis is a mitzvah. The Shas Yisrael Avnerus, and that was the third thing. When Yidden, now we said the Yidden will have been doing, because they learn Torah properly. B'meila, the mitzvahs are properly. B'meila, now they're doing the will of Hashem. So when Yidden do the will of Hashem, is kuchebrich amad aknes Yisrael. So the Eibishter now is happy, and he says concerning the Yidden, zeis menachose adiyah. This is my menucha forever. Es wird v'yochel the shleimus von kuchebricho. The Eibishter kiveyochel, so to speak, gets his completion. For Yisrael, because the Yidden are complete, and the Eibishter and the Yidden are one, so the Eibishter is complete. So here we see the three in the Ruchnisdike way, the way each one expresses. Also in a Seder, one goes after the other. Just like in Pshat, he said the Seder of what we're talking about, the bias in the Mishkan, and then the Beis Hamikdash, and the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. Here also we see in these Nyonim that go with the Seder. The Eraya of them, what's the proof for it? That this taki, you're doing the will of Hashem. And B'meila Deibishter says he's happy with the Yidden. You know where you see it. Zog der Zeir, that's why the Zeir says that the Eibishter sits on his Kisei HaKoved, v'chayis alalman, he has pity on the world, and brocha v'sholem v'chavusa the keli shtakich, and brocha and sholem and chavivus of everything, which means everything in the world is there. This is the proof that the Yidden are b'shleimus. The Shaz the Metzias from Welt stärkt nicht zu der Arbeide von Yidden. When the world is complete and the world does the right thing and the world doesn't disturb the Yidden. That's what he says. Chayis alalma, the Eibush has pity on the world. The world doesn't, and the world only has brocha and sholem and chavivas of everything. So then, it's not only that it doesn't disturb. The way the world runs, afila de gashmias, is be'efin shel brocha v'sholem, is in the form of brocha and peace. Amoke muchsher, masim u'mesites and hagav, in the place which is ready and fits and helps what Yidden's supposed to do. Kedei nomer zeis ben nechosi. That's when the Eibusha says zeis ben nechosi adiyad. Demult wird niskalet. That's when it's revealed as Knesset Yisrael zayin amocha neshifti yisbar, that the Yidden are a place for the Shechina of the Eibusha. As 40 is the pnimis hakavon navinya von dir leisborach, that accomplishes. You then see that you accomplish. The pnimi is the inner kavon of the Eibishter, to make for him a dwelling place in this world. Loder v'dlishkem b'neshamas Yisrael, to rest amongst Yidden, in the Yidden, the matter. So here we see how these things go with the Hemshech. Torah is the order. Second one is the bias, which is the Mishkan, building that's the mitzvah. And who gains from it? The Yidden, because the mitzvahs. And that's when the Eibusha says, then now that you're doing everything, the Torah mitzvah is good. The Eibusha says, Knesset Yisrael, now you did the will of the Eibusha, you did my will. That's when it'll be b'shleimus. And he hacks in here that it was in the world, because the way to see that Takad Yidden the b'shleimus, when they make the world a better place. So that's why he says the world is going to be a better place. And this we could also understand that concerning the Mishkan and the two Beit Hamikdash. They're one union, one continuation. Was hat sich angeheben mit dem Binyan Mishkan, started with building the Mishkan. Muss is behelfen, die Beit Hamikdash bringen und seine Geld und the Binyan und dem Gilui in Binyan Reis Shlishi. It says concerning the three Beit Hamikdash is the same Seder. It started off with the Mishkan, the first thing which is the Mishkan. Second thing, the Beis Hamikdash. The Mishkan brought the Beis Hamikdash, and that afterwards brings the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. Okay, Mudgish Maimer Azal Hanal, as it's stressed in what we called it before, that the word Kudei Mishka Neidus, Remez la Migdash and Nismashka B'Shnei Chabon have on the same shade of Yisrael. It's a remez, a hint to the Beis Hamikdash that was destroyed because of the Avedas, but it was destroyed in the form of a mashkin. Adar Umker from Migdash, what this tells us, that the fact that the Mikdash will come back is not a bazunder zach for sich. It's not like a separate thing. Normally, think there was a Mishkan, there's a Beis Hamikdash, now there's a new thing, a third Beis Hamikdash. No, nor via mashkin. It's like a mashkin is given back. But the mechuven von nemen and halten a mashkin is the purpose of taking and holding collateral is that for sicher as the Leib wird abgeben dem Chefs von früher. That the Leib, the borrower will pay you the loan he took before. In other words, it's a continuation of before. Das heißt, der schon ist Maschken von der Beis Hamikdash war Beis Gufe. The fact that they were taken as a Maschken is geirem und versichert, dass Eden sollen sich fühlen können dabei. That causes that the Eden, and to make sure that the Eden will behave properly, and they'll come back, because if the Eden won't behave properly, they won't come back. So that's what the Rebbe said before. That here you have a hemshech, that you have the Mishkan was first, then came the Beis Hamikdash, and as a hemshech to that, came the third Beis Hamikdash. Where do we see the third Beis Hamikdash as a hemshech to the first and second Beis Hamikdash? But now we see, because the first and second were taken away only as a mashkin to be given back. They were given back when the Eibusha will give us the third Beis Hamikdash. So the third Beis Hamikdash is basically a continuation, a replacement of the first two. So we see that here also the three things go in one hemshech. Then the Rebbe says that since this mitzvah that Eibusha said, the commandment, make for me a mikdash, I will rest among them. This is a mitzvah for all generation, for building the Mishkan, building the Beis Hamikdash. Concerning that mitzvah, simple pshat and posik. When Eibusha said, what was he talking about? Making a Mishkan. After that, he told him how to make it. He's moving as in the Mishkan Guf is an the So since the posik was talking about the Mishkan, and we said before that really these are three things included in the word, in what this is saying. But Lepeil was talking about the Mishkan. So it must be in the Mishkan itself, we have these three dargas, these three stages. The Mishkan, the Mikdash, and then Bais Hagimel, the third. How? So he says like this. In the Mishkan itself, when they put it up the Mishkan, they went through these three stages. In the Kamas Mishkan Pasha Seina, Nochvat Chalkol Avedas Mishkan El made, when it speaks about picking up the Mishkan, Pasha Pekudei, which is after they finished making the Mishkan. The Mishkan, the Aveda, the work of the Mishkan was finished. Then went Reis Manim. After that came three times and three Inyonim. Well, and they will be similar to the three Inyonim we said before. This month from Akomas the Mishkan Bezayin Yemei Ameluim. First, the stage was like this. First, they put up the Mishkan, and then there were 7 days of dedication, let's call it, or whatever, inauguration. For 7 days. Those 7 days, every day they took it apart and they put it up again. Then on the 8th day, they put it up and it stayed there already. Till next time when they traveled, they had to take it apart, but like this, it stayed. So he says like this. The time when the Mishkan was standing during the first 7 days of inauguration, even though they already put up the Mishkan, they put the Oren in, not like before that, before the Mishkan was finished, there was no Mishkan. It was work for the need of the Mishkan. It was a preparation for the picking up. But this time it has already picked up. It does not nicht gewinnt kein Kavua. Wasn't said. All the 7 days Moshe put up the Mishkan, took it apart. Even though they did Aveda in the Mishkan, there were special Aveda that they did on these 7 days. Nevertheless, there's a Lashon and Rasha in Gemara in Gemara Yume. It's not called Aveda. The Kayan didn't do it. The Aveda was done by Moshe, not the regular Aveda. So it's not the real Aveda. So the first 7 days, it wasn't Kavua. even though it was set up. The 8th day, the Chedesh Rishon, which is Chedesh, the first month, which is Nisan, the first day of the month, Chedesh Nisan, they put up the Mishkan. What does that mean to put up? Then they put it up, to stand, to be. Now you can do the Aveda. Till then you couldn't do the Aveda. I Meisha did the Aveda. That's not called a regular Aveda. But the Chelek zwischen the zwei Yefani Akom and the Mishkan Atzmei, the difference between these two levels, these two types of putting up the Mishkan, whether it was put up temporary for a day and put down, take up, put up again, compared to later on, Yashlemi, you could say, as I bedugmas I have for in the Mishkan, it's similar to the difference between the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash. The Mishkan is given beikir menucha protis for the morning. The Mishkan, as we said before, was not a menucha; it was not set yet. The Orem was set again. But the Mishkan not given Adira Sarah. The Mishkan itself was only temporary, like a noy, like a tent. And then you have the Beis Hamikdash. Was he given Adira Skva? Boke menucha for Knesset Yisrael. That was Kava, already the building that even the Yidden were able to have a place to go. Like we said before, the Bayis was Kva. So these two levels of the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan Gufa, you find the two levels. The first 7 days is similar to generally the Mishkan compared to the Beis Hamikdash. After the 7 days, from the 8th day and on the 8th day, and then afterwards, Noch HaKomas HaMishkan, the Shmini L'Meluim, and then the second time, there's like a Beis Hamikdash. And then the Rebbe says, after they put up a Mishkan, they put up the Mishkan on the 8th day, and they did Kama Avedas, different Avedas, is that später gewähnt der Schross HaSchchina zwischen Niden. So now, the Shechina came down among Zidin. That was only by the after from the Shmini and the Miluim. As Messiah Pasha saying, it says at the end of Pasha's Pekudei, Kved Hashem Oles HaMishkan, was demot is given V'yorek Kved Hashem HaKolom, that the covenant of Hashem filled the Mishkan, and it was for all the Eden. Now this is like the second level. No, sorry. This is the third level. The second level, we said before, was the Mishkan, the 7 days, and then you have the Shemina L'Meluim, when they put it up. That's the second level. Now, the fact that this, after the second level, this had a hashpoah that now the Eibishter was connected to the Eden and the Shechina was with the Eden, this is Me'ein HaMenucha Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi. This is like the Menucha, the rest of the third Beis Hamikdash was Kutchebrich Omerayli Al Knesset Yisrael. The Eibishter says concerning Eden, Zeis Menuchos Yada, this is forever. It says in Soforno, and then the Pasha Pekudei, even Posig about Leisa Onam Al Mishkan says when the Onam went up from the Mishkan, etc. So he writes like this: the Kol Kach Hois Shriyas Hashchina Kva BeMishkan. So much was the Shechina resting Kavua set in the Mishkan. Shleihoya Mistala Klal. It didn't leave Mishom from there. Acho Yisrael Tzrichel Nesayah. That he didn't have to leave. V'zelohoi V'shila V'leiba B'Yisrishim V'leiba B'Sheni. That wasn't no place. Here, it was Bemis set up completely. The Eibishter said to leave, so then you have to leave. But as far as it was set up, it was set up. And that's even more than the Bayis Rishon, Shile, Mishkan Shile, and the Bayis Rishon, the Bayis Sheni. So what do we see here? That when it says Zeis, so we see that after Shmini L'Meluim, what happened then? Then it became an Einyan Kavua. It was stuck only by the Mishkan, but we're talking how these three levels are within the Mishkan. So it's stuck only by the Mishkan. So the first level was by the Mishkan, what wasn't even Kavua at all. The order was Kavua, but not the Mishkan. Second one is when the Mishkan became Kavua already. And the third one is when the Shechina came already amongst the Eden, which is similar. And by the Mishkan, it was why? Because the Eden did the will of Hashem. Like we said, by the third level, that the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, that'll be when the Eden will do the mitzvah, the shleimus, and the Mela, the Eibishter will rest and say, Zeis Menuchos on the Eden. It was here. By the Mishkan, what happened when they put up the Mishkan? It's the Eden did the will of Hashem. B'shleimus, completely. For the Tish Shechina Behem, Atzuchuv Giton, durch Karbonesav Avidose, B'shleimus, V'gam Shalan. Because the Shechina rested amongst the Eden, it came through the Karbonis and Aveda, B'shleimus, also from Adam. And Adam was the one that made the Egel. So, and since it came, maybe it comes out that this was completely doing the will of Hashem. The evil part, the bad things, were wiped out. When demelt were the shleimus hamenucha from Mishkan Eidus, then you have the shleimus of the Mishkan here, and the Mishkan is called Mishkan Eidus, the Mishkan of testimony. So Rashi says it means Eidus liYisrael It's a testimony to Yidden. Shevitel HaKadosh Baruch HaMai Seigel. The Eibishter forgave them for the Egel. Because the Eibishter rested amongst them. So we see that this level, this third level of the Mishkan is similar to the Beis Mikdash Shlishi, when there is the Ashras Hashchina completely, because the Yidden are on the highest level and everything is good. So even though in Klolos it's not, but within the Mishkan Gufa, this is the third level. And the Mesa B'Teres Habayis Shechaz the Rebbe asks that by getting involved in learning the halachas, the Torah of the Beis Mikdash all times, which is about the Mishkan and about the Mikdash Rishon and Mikdash Sheni. So the learning is called Torah. It says that David told Yecheskel, by learning the halachas of Mishkan, of Mikdash, it's as if you're building it. And because what Medrash says is, David told Yecheskel how to make the Beis Mikdash. So he said, we're in Golos now. What's the purpose? So David said these words, and because you're in Golos, the building of the Beis Mikdash should not exist. And therefore, I'm telling you the halachas. What does that show? That by learning and having the halachas, it's as if you're building the Beis Mikdash. Ein by binyan by his bottle, Kabir Chazal. Then the building is not nullified. You're still building. So it comes like this: learning Torah about the Beis Mikdash and Mishkan. That's Torah. Anytime we learn, that makes it that it's as if you're building. What's building? That's the mitzvahs. So we have the same thing, that it's learning Torah about the Mishkan, about the Mikdash. It's Torah. That brings that you are doing the mitzvah building the Beis Mikdash. He does memayer umezares them gilu from Beis Gimel Peil. So that's the second thing, similar to the Tubat Mikdash, and that brings the third thing, the Beis Mikdash Hashlishi Bepeil Yigol of Yovim Shemaim. Let it be revealed to come from Shemaim. Because demult with Zayin Kol Anal B'Shlem. Then everything will be Shleimus. Shleimus HaTorah. Torah will be complete. That's called Menuchas Oren. The Oren will find Menucha. Then Shleimus Am Yisrael, the Yidden will be Menuchosi from Knesset Yisrael, because the second shot that the Knesset Yisrael say that they have their Menucha and it'll be them B'Shleimus. And also the third shot that the Eibush said it, Hashem Kutsha Bricha Sholem. The Eibush was incomplete, and now he says, because it says till Mashiach will come, Ein Hashem Sholem. The name of David is not Sholem, but this will make, when we do the two things properly, then this will make that we'll have the third thing also, that will have the Eibishter B'Shleimus. As that Goloi Leinu Kol Ha'amim, it will become revealed in the eyes of the whole world, all the nations. This that the Eibishter says concerning Yidden, that Zeis Menuchosi Adiyad. This, meaning the Yidden, this is my Menucha forever. And that's the third level, that the Eibishter will be B'Shleimus, so to speak, that the world will recognize the Eibishter, and the Eibishter will say that's through the Yidden that I am B'Shleimus.